Love does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly, like the first light of dawn touching the red African soil, gentle yet determined, promising warmth even before the sun fully rises. In the small town of Mawingu, where mornings began with the sound of roosters and evenings ended with prayer drifting from open windows, lived a man named Eliab Mwangi. Eliab was not extraordinary by the world's standards. He did not chase attention, nor did he speak loudly in gatherings, but he carried something rare: peace, the kind that comes from knowing who you are in God, the kind that settles your spirit even when life feels uncertain. Every Sunday, Eliab walked the dusty path to church, Bible tucked under his arm, heart open and expectant. Faith was not just a habit to him, it was his foundation. That was where he first saw her. Zawadi, a Chiang, stood near the church gate, sunlight catching the vibrant patterns of her chitinge dress as the wind played gently with its edges. She was laughing with the women's fellowship, her voice soft yet full of life. There was warmth in her smile, but also something deeper, something guarded. Eliab did not feel desire in that moment, he felt recognition. Something within him whispered, "Pay attention." He did not rush toward her, he did not force conversation, he prayed. Weeks passed and their paths crossed naturally, a greeting after service, a shared laugh during youth fellowship, conversations that lingered longer than planned. They talked about faith, purpose, and family. Zawadi spoke about her love for children and her dream of building a home filled with peace. Eliab spoke about stewardship, leadership, and serving God faithfully. Slowly, carefully, something began to grow. When Eliab finally asked her to pray about entering a relationship, he did not promise perfection. He promised honesty, prayer, and intention. Zawadi said yes. And so love began, not with fireworks but with roots. Their relationship became a quiet testimony. They prayed together before making decisions. They fasted when life felt heavy. They laughed easily and supported each other deeply. Eliab loved the way Zawadi listened. Zawadi loved the way Eliab made her feel safe. But beneath her calm exterior, Zawadi carried a weight she had never truly laid down. Her past. Before Eliab, Zawadi had loved deeply and lost painfully. Relationships that promised forever but delivered disappointment. Words spoken in passion that were never fulfilled. Attachments formed in vulnerability, never properly released. She had healed enough to function, but not enough to be free. At night, while Eliab prayed for their future, Zawadi sometimes found herself scrolling through old messages, names she claimed no longer mattered, conversations she told herself were harmless. She was not trying to betray Eliab. She was trying to comfort parts of herself she had never surrendered to God. And comfort, when misplaced, becomes a silent enemy. At first, Eliab noticed nothing unusual. Love makes us generous with trust. But over time, small things began to feel off. Zawadi would grow quiet when he mentioned marriage. She hesitated when he talked about meeting families. Sometimes her laughter felt distant, her presence divided. One evening, as they sat beneath the fading orange sky, Eliab noticed her phone light up. She turned it face down quickly. "Everything okay?" he asked gently. "Yes," she replied too quickly. Eliab nodded, but peace left his heart. Peace is not loud, but its absence is unmistakable. Zawadi's exes were not physically present. They were not calling at midnight or meeting her secretly, but emotionally they still occupied space in her heart. One checked on her as a friend. Another resurfaced whenever she felt low. Another existed only in memory, but memory can be powerful. She told herself it meant nothing. But love cannot thrive where the past still has a voice. Eliab felt it in prayer. His spirit grew heavy, conversations felt guarded, intimacy felt incomplete. Love was still there, but it was divided. One evening beneath a mango tree, Eliab finally spoke. "Zawadi," he said softly, "I love you, but sometimes I feel like I am sharing you with ghosts." Her eyes filled with tears. "They are my past," she whispered. "They don't mean anything." "But they still have access to you," Eliab replied calmly. Silence fell between them. And silence, when filled with truth, can be louder than arguments. That night, Zawadi cried alone. She loved Eliab truly, but letting go felt terrifying. Her past represented familiarity, it represented versions of herself she did not want to lose. Eliab represented healing. Healing required surrender. Surrender required death to old attachments, old comforts, old identities. And healing often hurts more than staying wounded. Eliab too struggled. He prayed harder than ever. "God, I don't want to compete with the past," he whispered. "I want to love freely or not at all." His friends noticed the weight on him. Some warned him gently, others urged patience. But Eliab knew something deep within his spirit. Love without honor slowly destroys the one who gives it. Weeks passed and the tension remained. Zawadi promised change, but her actions lagged behind her words. Eliab tried to trust, but trust cannot survive constant contradiction. The breaking point came quietly. One evening, Eliab saw a message pop up on Zawadi's phone, an old name. The message was not flirtatious, it was worse. It was intimate. Familiar. Something in Eliab broke, not in anger but in clarity. "I can't keep doing this," he said calmly. "I deserve a whole heart." Zawadi cried. She begged him to stay. She promised again. But promises without obedience are empty. Eliab chose himself. He walked away. Not because he stopped loving her, but because love that costs your peace is too expensive. The silence that followed was unbearable. No calls. No texts. No shared prayers. Zawadi felt the weight of her choices for the first time. The voices from her past grew quieter, but they could not comfort her. The familiarity she clung to now felt empty. She realized something devastating. The people she protected had never loved her the way Eliab did. For the first time, she was truly alone, and God had her attention. One Sunday, Zawadi found herself at the altar. Her knees touched the floor as tears soaked the ground. "God," she cried, "I release them. I choose healing over familiarity. I choose freedom over fear." Deliverance was not dramatic, it was deliberate. She deleted numbers. She blocked contacts. She burned letters. She prayed through memories one by one. She grieved what was never real. She forgave what had wounded her. She surrendered what she had idolized. Months passed. Zawadi became lighter, not because life was easy, but because her heart was free. Eliab too healed. He learned that walking away was not failure, it was obedience. One afternoon, their paths crossed again. She looked different. Not dressed differently, but carried differently. She did not beg. She testified. "I let go," she said softly, "not for you but for God." Eliab prayed. And God restored. Because love rooted in God survives storms, but only when both hearts are free. Sometimes God allows separation, not to end love but to purify it. And sometimes the greatest proof of love is the courage to let go until both hearts are whole again.